Okay, there are copies of the minutes and the agenda out on the table. Maybe that table right there. So if you want to get a copy, you can do that, and then we're going to get started. Oh, but in order for me to see you and not be blurry, I need to put my glasses on. Oh, there you are. Okay. Welcome to our Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council meeting for the month of April. My name is Linda Locke. I am president of the council. So the minutes are on the table if anybody would like to review them, or they were sent out. And so I had a couple of, I don't know what that noise is. It's really annoying. Yeah, it sounds like it, huh? It's trying to work and it's not working. So the minutes are there if anybody has any questions or any additions, and if you want to get them later, you can let me know what they are. And the treasurer's report, Susan is here. Oh,
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Susan, the treasurer for this group. I have the budget report for the month of March 2024. So our beginning balance on March 1st was $2,093.53. We had received membership dues in the amount of $40. We had some expenses, the ethnic celebration food, $92, the Citizen of the Year food, $59.06, and the UNSCC 2024 membership fee, that was $134. So the final balance on March 31st was $1,848.47. The City of San Jose District 4 grant, we have a balance of $10,000. The Beautify San Jose grant, Cycle 5, we have a balance of $2,038. And the Not a Noble Charter, we have a balance of $7,456.96. So I am available to collect dues, membership dues. They are $10 for the year, and I'm here about a half hour past the meeting if you want to catch me. Thank you.
we always like to get new members. And tie update. Okay. I have to write myself notes. All I see tonight, the San Jose Police Department is here, so we will have Officer Kim and Officer Nail come up and just introduce themselves and have a little bit to say. They don't have any formal report for you, but that's what they told me anyway, but you can ask questions.
Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Kim.
I'm Officer Nail. Hi.
We are here on behalf of both of our captains, and if you have any questions, we will answer it to the best of our abilities.
If there's any concerns or anything you're wondering, we may have an answer. If we don't, we will try to get the answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank you. Yeah,
that.
we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we're working on that. It's been really difficult with staffing the numbers. It's not where we want it to be right now.
We're trying.
Yeah. Yes, we are actually partners, and this is our current district. So if you're not familiar with how the district works, is that we handle the Foothill Division, District Marion, District William. So this particular area is District William. And I am the community policing officer until the beginning of May. So my time will be up by then. But I've addressed a lot of issues regarding any unhoused individuals that are like parked in uncertain communities that need to be addressed. And we have went to a few community meetings as well and try to address people's concerns.
Among other various things, but
Yes.
that's the big thing. That's the big thing that we've tried to harp on, is trying to clear up neighborhoods specifically, or
Yes.
in front of businesses that are having a lot of issues. It is tough, though. There's not too much that we can do. We try our best. Our hands have been tied a little bit, so
Yes.
we may move them from one spot, and then they just go across the street, and then we have a new, somebody else that's not happy. So we try to do what we can. It's been pretty difficult since COVID, and a lot of our resources have kind of been taken away. So we've been working on that also, trying to help facilitate resources or some sort of housing, whatever we can do to help the unhoused subjects kind of find somewhere else to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good.
You may not have done the research before you came, but do you have any idea if there's been an increase in burglaries or anything else?
What is your current area that you're speaking about?
It would be the Berryessa area.
Sierra?
Well,
This
not
entire neighborhood.
This entire?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we work on the senior side of the week, which is Monday through Thursday. I can tell you for the most part, we don't get calls in regards to burglaries in that particular area. We're here majority of the time. And when there are certain calls in that area, it's usually when like juveniles are driving stolen vehicles and they would abandon them, and then we get notified. So those are the majority calls that we normally go to. But when it comes to burglaries, we don't often have those calls on our side of the week.
And then if you're asking for a specific, like a stat, like if the numbers have gone up or have gone down, we don't have an exact answer for that. I think that's kind of what you're asking for. I can find out, and then we can get that answer, but what she's trying to say is the days that we work specifically, we have not seen a rise in any burglaries in this area. So.
We're pretty proactive. On our side of the week, we're pretty proactive and visible.
So I think we all know that we have a new interim police chief. Is there anything you'd like to share about the new chief? That you can share about the new chief? Any fun fact?
Yeah, we're not supposed to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to talk politics or anything like that.
Yeah.
While we're in uniform. He's a great guy.
Yes.
He does great work,
He
and
does.
we're excited to see what he can
And
do.
he's well respected within the department. He was also the assistant chief to Chief Mata. So he is very well-rounded. He knows what the community wants. They're really big on building that bridge with their community. So far, yes, he's an overall great person.
Sure.
Yes.
Paul Joseph.
Paul Joseph.
Concerning the shortage of police officers in San Jose, are you privy to any information about increased recruitment for San Jose PD? I know you're down about 700 officers.
Yeah, so I've been here since 2015. The numbers are up since I've been here. However, they're not at what the staffing level is projected to be for this size of a city.
Yes.
They are working on trying to recruit more people. And I think our next academies for this year, actually the numbers are up. I don't know the exact number. I think they're in the 40s, where the last few have been 20 or under. So they are working on that in different ways. I'm not exactly sure what all recruiting is doing, but our numbers are going up. It's just been difficult because we may bring in, so if we say they do 3 academies a year, and if we said all of them have 40 in each academy, right? So that'd be 120. So we have 120 people that are coming in that are new. How many do we have that retire come January? So that's been the hard part, is we're either breaking even, or there's more people retiring, or there's a lot of people that are leaving out of the state because it's just too expensive to live here, family reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So between the retirements and people that are just leaving this profession altogether, it's been difficult to try to recruit enough to bridge that gap when we're already so understaffed.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't, even if they go through the academy, they might not make it out of the academy. Even if they graduate the academy, they might not make it on the field, the FTO program, which is the field training officer, because people underestimate our job. And so when the academy is more of a sterile environment where you have role players, no one's going to hurt you. But once you get on the streets and train, people realize very soon that it is not the job for them. So we lose people like that as well, where some of them don't cut it, and by the time the academy class passes the FTO program, we still have a probation period, right? It's a year-long probation period. Some people still don't make it past probation period. So our number starts to decrease little by little. Even though the academy is like 40 to begin with, it might end at 17 or 20 people. By the time you're a solo officer pushing a beat car by yourself. So we're trying. I know that we've been in contact with Captain Trayer. If you guys are familiar with Captain Trayer, he is now the captain of recruiting, and he is working day and night and very hard trying to get officers working at our department. And they're going all over the place recruiting. I actually have a recruitment event next week to help Captain Trayer with that as well. I think we're just doing, it's gonna be at the substation, but we're gonna just do like photos and posters and kind of get some of the diversity of our department, because we're a very diverse department. And we're, yes, yes.
Problem with anybody not hearing me. And isn't there a lot of officers who will maybe quit here and go to work for, say, another department?
Yes, because due to many reasons, right? It can be because our medical isn't great, our pay isn't great, we're overworked, or it can be for family reasons. People don't necessarily stay because they passed the academy. They change their mind all the time and they decide to go to other departments because other departments offer a lot more than we can.
I would like to hover over what I said earlier a little bit. For a city our size, we are extraordinarily well served by the police
Yes.
department. The response times, the level of criminality across property and person are extraordinary. And so and we are, as I agree with you, understaffed relative to budget allowance. So I appreciate the effort to increase the number of officers on the streets, but I also know that the team is going to hold standards rather than just, we're going to fill slots. No,
Yeah.
we're going to fill slots with talented, capable officers. So we respect what you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Sometimes we go out with 4 officers, and that's really dangerous for our city, right? For one district, 4 officers, and they have put a place in like a bridge car and a pay car. Basically, a pay car is anyone that's on their days off can come in and fill that beat. A bridge car is someone that can come in and fill for 4 hours and then leave, right? You can extend day shift to swing shift. You can extend swing shift to midnights, but that's still not guaranteed to fill the spots. So just starting today, it was just me and her logged on. And this is after working 4 hours of training, and then now we have to do another 10 hours of our shift. So we're trying, the department is trying, we're doing our best, but I mean, you guys are important, right? And I've always been under the umbrella of community policing, and that's where I came from. I came from Oakland, and I've brought what I've learned there to come help the community here. And San Jose is a great place to work, but we just need to get our staffing numbers up.
And our department holds a very high standard.
Yes, we
So
do.
I think, for me personally, I will say I would rather have a high standard and hire people that are here for the right reasons to help the community, versus lowering our standards just to get numbers.
That's
So
correct.
we would rather work overtime and work
Yes.
our days off to make sure everything is done correctly and safely, and we all go home
Yes.
at the end of the day.
That is
So-
true.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and you can't, I mean, you don't need to have officers on the street who don't meet that standard, because it's not only bad for the citizens, but it's also bad for you guys. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
That
And
puts
we
your
have a
lives,
very high standard.
that puts
We
lives,
do. We
your
do.
lives in even more danger than it already is because of the crazies out there.
Yeah.
Yes, there are certain people that should not wear this uniform. I agree. But like my partner said, we have very, very high standards, and we want to be able to police our community like they want us to. And so we rather just be short-staffed and have the quality of people that will protect the citizens out here than meet the numbers of the city. Anything else?
We will hang out for a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll hang out for a little bit in case anybody else has any other questions, and then we'll probably go because everyone else is tied up on things right now.
And it's just us.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I do not see anybody from the sheriff or the CHP tonight, and they usually are here, so sorry about that. But you know what? You should see all the people outside walking and all the people over in the playground area. It must be spring outside. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's so exciting to see people using the facility. It's just great. All right, tonight our special speakers we have two, the Humane Society and the SPCA, formerly Silicon Valley Wildlife Center, and of course they got their thing here, and there are our neighbors on the other side. All this time, we've never invited our neighbors over, so we finally, Sita walked over there one day, and she says, well, while I'm here, would you guys like to come and tell us about what's going on? So tonight, they're here. Holly Comier and Ashley are both here, and they're going to make a presentation for you. All right. I do. I have the remote.
All right. Hello? Okay. Thank you for having us. Like she said, I'm Holly and this is Ashley, and we are, I don't know if you guys know, we're like located right in Penitencia Creek Park, next to the Penitencia Creek Park parking lot. And so, anyway, we came here just to give a little presentation about, that way. I'm directionally challenged, so that's an issue. So yeah, over there, and you know, we've been serving the county of Santa Clara for over 35 years, taking in sick, injured, and orphan wildlife. So we have a little presentation. We were the Wildlife Center of Silicon Valley for years, and January 1st, we merged with Peninsula Humane Society and SPCA. The good news for us is the place we're moving to in Saratoga is fully funded. Forever. The wildlife program is funded forever. So I used to raise money for them. I don't have to anymore. I have a different role as outreach. But don't worry, the location in San Jose is going to stay here for at least 2 years, hopefully longer. So you'll still be able to bring animals and things like that. Okay, so the Peninsula Humane Society, I'm just going to give you guys a little history and then we'll get into kind of what we do. They are an open door shelter, which means they take in all kinds of animals, whether their medical condition, their behavior, anything like that. We're talking domestics. They work with that. They were started in 1950 by a group of concerned citizens from San Mateo County. They are not affiliated with any other humane societies or SPCA organizations, and most of the funding comes from the local community. Between the Burlingame Domestic Center just in Burlingame, as you know, here we only take in wildlife. So up there they take in domestics and wildlife in Burlingame. And so they took in over almost 3,000 animals in 2023. So they adopt out a lot of animals. There you go. Their history. So Coyote Point Shelter opened in 1950. Their first cost spay and neuter clinic opened in 1971. 1974 was the first wildlife rehabilitation center. The first humane society to employ a behaviorist and educator in 1975. The first Get Acquainted room for adoptees to meet animals was also 1975, which is great because then people get to meet the animals at least that they adopt, so that's important. First sheltering of pets for domestic violence victims in 1997. First mobile spay and neuter clinic in the Bay Area was 2006. And then the training program, which is pairing shelter dogs with minimum security inmates, 2009. And then the Tom and Annette Lantos Center for Compassion, which is also where their wildlife center is on the second floor in that building, was in 2011. And then fingers crossed, we've been waiting over a decade for the wildlife center in Saratoga to open. So it's going to finally open. We're hoping to move there in June is what we're hoping for. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't say. So this is Rambo. This is Ashley's dog. And she adopted it from PHS. He was returned 3 times. He's a lot, but she puts up with him, and so he's great. He's great. Okay. Yeah, right. And the mission is Peninsula Humane Society, guided by the humane ethic, builds healthy relationships between people and animals, and that's my little rescue cat, Poppy. So I have Poppy and Peanut, so they're rescue as well. Okay, funding, they're a nonprofit organization as well. They're a 501c3. Their primary source of funding is through private donations. Their private contributions help their humane programs and services. They're not funded by the government, but have a contract with the County of San Mateo to perform necessary state mandated services. Kind of like here, we have contracts with animal control agencies to bring us animals, to bring us wildlife. So they have 4 different locations. The San Mateo shelter is it's Coyote Point. That's where the people can surrender animals. They do initial intake and rescue. They do low-cost spay and neuter and lost and found. They do a lot of behavior training there, and then they kind of transfer them to the Lantos Center. And the Lantos Center is kind of like their adoption center, so all for cats and dogs, exotics like reptiles, lots of bunnies there right now, which is kind of sad, and things like that. But they do a lot of adoptions. We get the emails every week, and they adopt out like 30 to 50 animals a week sometimes. So it's kind of nice to see. And then they do education, behavior training, and pet-assisted therapy, and the kitten nursery, which once a year they open up to the public, and people can come in and see the little kittens in the kitten nursery, so it's cute. And then Pick of the Litter thrift store, kind of like a Goodwill or like a Savers or something on a smaller level. And so what they do is they take in items, and then all the proceeds go to help benefit the animals. It helps to fund their HOPE program. Their HOPE program is for a lot of animals who have special medical needs or severe behavior problems that they're trying to help. And then the Saratoga Shelter Center for Wildlife Care is what we're going to be going to in June, and that will serve, we're expecting a lot more animals. Last year over here we took in over about 6,600 animals, and so in the new center they're expected to take animals from San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara counties, and so they're thinking like 10 to 14,000, so it's going to be a lot of animals. And then, so we still rely on a lot of volunteers. There will be more staff in Saratoga, and Ashley will head that, but we still need volunteers. So they need to be 16 years and older, 3-hour shift per week, 1-year commitment, able to work on their own independently. And we always say food preparation includes rodents. You have to cut up frozen mice. You have to deal with insects and there's nuts and things like that. So we let people know that. But a lot of the volunteers, and we have an internship program, they get a lot out of our program. We're very hands-on, so you don't even need any training. You just need to be 16 years and older and willing to make the commitment, and they train them on site. All right, Ashley, can you talk?
Hi, everybody. My name's Ashley, and I'm the Wildlife Rehabilitation Program Manager for Peninsula Humane Society, and I'm going to go over the wildlife aspect of everything. So every single year, we receive over 10,000 wild patients of over 160 different species. So we're talking raccoons, different types of avian patients like Steller's jays, photoed here. We also get in reptiles and amphibians. And also hummingbirds, squirrels, raptors, waterfowl, and large mammals like coyotes, bobcats, and foxes. Why do we get wildlife? Well, we are people, and we have our flaws as well. So unfortunately, humans are the main reason for wildlife rehabilitation facilities to receive wildlife. They are brought in due to natural illnesses, also injured from window strikes, car accidents, tree trimmings, glue traps, fishing lines, gun wounds, or gunshots, and also many, many more, like fishing line entanglements, like I said. And cat and dog caught as well is a big reason for animals coming in. And they're also deemed orphan due to the lower points that we're making. So you can see here, there's a great horned owl with some eye trauma, alligator lizards that are stuck in glue traps. So please don't put glue traps outside. We beg of you, call us and we'll give you other humane deterrence advice on how to keep certain pests out of your backyard. We also have up there on the top right is a turkey vulture that was shot. Below that is a little orphan tree squirrel that is getting feedings every 3 hours. And right below that, if I can see correctly, are orphaned brush rabbits. I'm like, I can't see. Other challenges our wildlife face are pollution, poisoning, loss of habitat, and illegal trapping. So unfortunately, poisoning led this bobcat to ingest rodenticides, which cause a weakened immune system, and so parasites and other illnesses take over. So that bobcat was suffering from mange. The squirrel that you see held by the purple gloves was a victim of a chainsaw accident. Somebody was doing some tree trimming, and the tip of the chainsaw, unfortunately, came into contact with the animal's face, but luckily, we were able to rehabilitate and release that one. And then you can see here our own pollution, our own litter, if we're not rinsing out our cans and taking care of our trash, attract certain wildlife species, and poor thing got his head caught in a tomato can. But again, we were able to safely remove him without getting sprayed, and we were able to release him back to the wild. Certain vector species, we actually specialized in the rehabilitation and release of certain animals, such as larger mammals, bobcats, coyotes, foxes, raccoons, skunks, and can't forget about our little flying mammals, our bats. And the bobcat photo is one of our favorite stories. We raised them as little kittens, and they were feisty, ferocious little things, and they were actually released about a year after they were in our care, since they are developmentally a little slower than other mammals, and we were able to release them in the hills of Monterey. And I cried, I'm not gonna lie. It was very special. The rehabilitation process, so what happens when animals are actually admitted to our hospital? We give everybody a head-to-toe exam, determine what's going on with them, and we will make sure that treatment plans are set based off of the reasoning for intake, whether they're cat caught, dog caught, they potentially have a broken limb, or they're ill in some sort of way. So we try our best to rehabilitate and release all the animals that come in. So on the left is a little orphan coyote pup, I know, aw. I know they're a little, controversial, but we love them. And then in the middle is a group of red-tailed hawk nestlings that actually came down after a tree trimming, and unfortunately we were unable to locate the parents to reunite them. And then another one on the right is a rare intake for us. I know, bird nerd over here. It's an American pipit that actually hit a window, and it was eventually released after it overcame head trauma. Treatment, obviously, like I said, each animal that comes in has to be treated in some sort of way, whether it's antibiotics for a cat wound, whether it's a fracture stabilization or a splint due to a break, or getting removed from a gross glue trap that we should not be putting outside. If you take anything away tonight, please no glue traps. So on the left is a sharp-shinned hawk that actually had a fractured radius and ulna, which is our lovely bone right here. And that was stabilized and splinted by our vet and our wildlife staff and was eventually released. And that little skunk on the right, it looks disgusting and sad from all the glue, but we were able to give it a few baths, again, without getting sprayed. And we were able to eventually release that one back to the wild. So we also have to think, when we are in rehabilitation for these patients, we have to think about not only treatment, but how are we going to keep them alive during their stay? So what keeps you alive is food and water, and the meds that they may need. So definitely we think a lot about, and we understand a lot about their natural history and behavior, and understand that we are very strong about a natural diet for our patients, because we don't want them to potentially go to your backyard and want cat food and dog food and things like that. So we try to think about the species and just offer housing enrichment and diet based on their diet in the wild. So up here are little turkeys that we had since they were little tiny hatchlings, and they were eventually released, and more Stellar's jays. This is an example of, on the right, these little tiny orphan baby squirrels come in and need feeding. They're like kittens every 3 hours. Fortunately for us, they are not around the clock, like some of the domestic species. So we get to sleep at night at times. And then they will grow up into that beautiful, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed tree squirrel. And those are tree squirrels are one of our main species that we actually admit. So we also love to share before and after. So what we do on a day-to-day basis, we love to share like the actual outcome of cases. So this is a raccoon that was found in a storm drain, completely soaking wet. I believe it was after a storm. And you can see that he was taken, I think it's San Jose Animal Services, or Silicon Valley Animal Control, found this animal, and that is in our treatment room. He's getting cleaned up. We sedated him, so there was no bite risk or anything. He was given a bath, and he was blow-dried, like a little, he had a spa day. And then he progressed in our care. He was pretty thin. He was actually emaciated, very dehydrated, and hypothermic at time of exam because he was soaking wet in a storm drain. And you can see that he's loving his little grapes, and he is running away and climbing up a tree far, far away from people. These are little skunk orphans that were raised at our hospital as well. They start off as these little tiny little stink bombs, and then they grow up into larger stink bombs. But we love our stink bombs. And we teach them to forage. We provide lots of enrichment, so they forage and scavenge for insects and fruit and nuts and grains and things like that. And they definitely are afraid of people, because when we go to capture them, we usually go home smelling really bad. But they are eventually released into the wild. And these are western bluebirds that were, again, glue traps. You can see a trend here. So they love insects, and what attracts glue traps, or insects are also attracted to glue traps, not just rodents, not just reptiles. Birds will fly onto them thinking it's an easy meal. So unfortunately, these guys were in care for quite a bit of time because they sustained such feather damage from thrashing around while they're on the glue trap. But you can see on that bottom right photo that they were eventually released into the wild. And this is an example of an illegal trapping. This is an illegal leg hold trap. Fortunately, the person who set this was never found. How do you find somebody that randomly sets leg hold traps? We had our local animal control agency and California Department of Fish and Wildlife overseeing this case. But fortunately for the raccoon, we were able to pry him out of those disgusting traps. And he had a lot of constriction injuries, so it doesn't look too bad in that middle photo. We don't like to share too much gory pictures, but he sustained a lot of swelling, and that area around that wrist actually opened up to where he had some tendon exposure. So we were working diligently on wound treatment, which is extremely tricky for an adult raccoon. But eventually we were able to get it to where the wound was pretty much healed and it was considered superficial, and he was later released back into the wild. All right, I'm gonna pass this back to Holly. Thank you.
And all the animals in the presentation lived. I don't put ones that don't live. We do get a lot of animals. Wildlife can be kind of an ugly thing sometimes, and if animals are not doing well or they can't be released back into the wild, we do have to humanely euthanize them. But we always look at it that it's better than putting them out of their misery than them out there suffering. So that's one of our great horned owl releases. So we have some really good volunteers that take great photos when they do releases. So why is wildlife important? Wildlife populations remain in balance with the environment. Animal, plant, and marine diversity keeps ecosystems functional. Human actions can change or destroy the habitats that plants and animals need to survive. And we know with all the infrastructure here that we always try to send the message that we want people to live, to coexist with local wildlife. That's kind of like our message. Like, we get calls all the time. We take in, over 5,000, 6,000 calls a year from people. And so we try to get people to we want them to live happily with wildlife. So, all right. There we go. Insect eaters. So insect eaters are songbirds. A lot of songbirds eat our insects. Common porwells, they're very interesting. They kind of camouflage themselves. They live on the ground and they eat at night and they open up their mouths and insects like fly into their mouths. They're a very cool species. So I kind of like that. Western fence lizards, and then you probably can't see the western screech owl, but they eat insects, and then big brown bats eat insects. So we need insects eaters in our environment, and that's a cedar waxwing at the top. Okay, pest control, so raptors. Raptors and owls and obviously eat pests, so they eat, the rats and the mice and the gophers and things like that. Every year we do get a lot of the secondary poisoning, the rodenticide poisoning. People will put out bait, the mice or rats eat the bait, the raptors eat it, and then they get sick. And it does happen, so we tell people, and I understand I hit pretty hard with the glue traps, it's just that we get a lot of that, and when I first came to the center years ago, I thought that glue traps were a good thing. I thought that you could put them out, they're better than snap traps, and then I learned that that's not the case when we see so many of them come in with insects on them and animals stuck to them. And then opossums. So opossums get a bad rap. They don't carry rabies. They're cute when they're little, maybe not so much when they're older, but they do help the environment. They eat snails and slugs and ticks and things like that. They don't see very well. They can only see about 6 inches in front of their face. And the poor thing has like up to 12, 13 babies. Yeah, and she has to grow them in her pouch and they hang on her till they fall off. So she travels at night, and so we really like the opossums, and so we try, they, like I said, they don't carry rabies, they're only marsupial, they're a good animal.
And they also
Yeah.
decrease Lyme disease
Yeah,
issues in our area.
yeah, so,
We love ticks.
yes, we like that. Okay, and then seed eaters, so our songbirds disperse seed, which spreads plants into new areas. The dispersed seed also helps to revitalize the ecosystem in areas that have been damaged or destroyed. So there's a house finch. I don't know if you have feeders, that's a male house finch. Dark-eyed junco, white-breasted nuthatch. There's a white-crowned sparrow, and my picture's bad. I need to change it. It's a lesser goldfinch. They're only about this big, but I know it looks huge in the picture, so I need to adjust that. But anyway. And then what to do if you find an injured animal. So we say observe from a distance if it's injured, determine if the animal is safe to handle. So a lot of times, since we don't have a pickup service, it's either animal control or the public that brings us animals. If it's like an injured songbird or like a squirrel or a lizard or something like that, we say try to get it into a little box and bring it to us. If it's something like a raccoon, no, we don't want you handling anything like that, or a hawk or anything. But I always say it's very interesting. We call RPs rescue people. It seems like over the years they will bring in all kinds of things like hawks that they put in their car, or someone got a goose and they put it in his car, and they don't get hurt. But like once they come in here, I'm like, oof, yeah, you didn't get hurt. So I think maybe because you were trying to help the animal. But anyway, if they're unsafe to handle, obviously there's no children here, but you would ask an adult for help, pick it up with gloves, put into a ventilated box, and then bring to your local local wildlife center. And then if animals are too dangerous to handle or a vector species, we ask you to contact animal control. In this area here at San Jose Animal Care and Services, they service this area. They bring us animals every day. And then how to help. So keep bird feeders clean. Like for seed and stuff like that, I feed, so like you rinse them out with bleach and water and clean out the seed. Hummingbird feeders as well. We have a picture of clear vector. They don't need the red nectar. You can make your own clear. It's 4-to-1, and it's easy to do. And so it's 4 parts water, 1 part sugar. We all want people to keep their dogs on the leash, and obviously keep cats indoors. We get lots of cat-caught birds, especially it's our baby season now, and so a lot of the ground nesters like the towhees and things like that, they nest on the ground. We get a lot of cat-caught birds. And then for the bird feeders, I don't know but if you don't want to clean them yourself, Los Gatos Birdwatcher does clean them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they ask just for a $5 donation. And then keep garbage in containers, prevent window strikes. So I have these stickers on my windows, actually the same ones, the hummingbird ones. I was getting a lot of mourning doves hitting my windows and, breaking their necks and things like that. And so has it stopped all of them hitting the windows? No, but it has stopped some. And they're not that expensive. You can get them on Amazon. They show a bright light. They're clear, and they're kind of like a frosted look to us, and so they see a bright light and they steer away from it. So it does help them from hitting windows. We just got a window hit Black Phoebe today that hit a window really hard, so we do get them a lot. And then that's about it for our presentation. If you have any questions, we're definitely willing to take them. Yep. Yeah. It's up in Burlingame, and it's like pick of the litter, so it's clothes and shoe, any kind of items like that that they use.
Household items.
Household items,
No
yep,
longer have a use for.
Yeah.
They'll recycle them.
yep. Mhm. So that's a good one. So what we do get a lot of calls about people will put out food at night, right? So we say, please don't put out food at night, because then they don't want the raccoons and the opossums there. Well, they're going to come because they know there's food. Like I said, years ago, I did not know, and I was feeding a feral cat outside, and I left a small bowl of food, and I was also leaving grapes, because raccoons really like grapes, and so I thought that was a great idea. And then all of a sudden, like a couple weeks later, I had a whole family in my backyard fighting over this thing, and I'm like, oh, I need to stop that. What am I doing? So it took a couple weeks, and they moved on, and I took the food in at night. So we tell people to put food in at night. It's hard. A lot of feral cat colonies, they want to feed in the evening, so it's kind of hard. And yes, do they catch birds and stuff like that? Yeah. We have one right out here in our field that comes to our center too, and I know he probably eats gophers and ground squirrels and. Yes. Well, here, I don't know. Yeah. So I think we've gotten a few stragglers, right, over the years.
Yeah, and the only thing that we can really advocate right now as a wildlife center is spay and neuter and keeping your animals indoors. But we know that feral colonies are around.
Yeah.
So that's why the local shelters are so important to provide those free spay and neuter services for those feral cats that
Yeah.
we can alter.
Yeah.
Do you have any affiliation with the outfit, No Fetus?
Society of Silicon Valley?
No
No.
longer, no. Yeah, they discontinued accepting any type of wildlife about 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
No, no.
We're moving to Saratoga hopefully in June, and we're still keeping the San Jose location open. Hopefully they're saying 2 years. I think it's going to be longer. It's going to be longer.
This is such a need in this
It's
area.
such a need in this area, and it's such it's a location. We're going to be off of Route 9 in Saratoga. A lot of people are not going to want to drive animals up there, so.
Yes, and not to interrupt, but we
Yeah.
will remain as a satellite intake facility as long as we possibly can, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. That's one of the reasons why we love to be here, is so you guys can also help advocate for us if the need is still there when that potential lease agreement is not accepted for some reason. Yes.
Mhm.
What are your hours? Because sometimes people get injured animals and ACS, for whatever reason, may not come out and get it. So like, I normally drive them to stage.
Oh, no.
We don't do that anymore. We have, we made
An agreement, veg,
we're open from 9 to 6.
every day.
Every single day, and we now have an agreement with Veterinary Emergency Group on Ritter, in San Jose, on Ritter.
Yep.
They are.
RIDDER, Park Drive in San Jose.
It's called Veterinary Emergency Group, or VEG for short. I can also give you the information after if needed.
Yeah, and they
They take animals 24/7 and after hours, and we train their veterinary technicians to provide stabilization until we are open the next day. So that's our after-hour option.
And it's free for us. Yeah, so it's all good.
And they will take anything.
Yeah.
As long as it's not
A-
a vector
yeah.
species or a venomous snake like rattlesnakes. So that since they have, yeah,
Like-
please don't touch rattlesnakes.
I don't want that.
Fortunately, earlier this year, we now have an MOU with Veterinary Emergency Group, and they are willing to hold animals after hours for us.
So the vector species is bobcats, coyotes, raccoons, skunks, foxes, and bats. Yeah, that can carry rabies. Yep. We only do wildlife. So we don't do any of the spay and neuter or anything like that.
Burlingame, this is confusing. me.
Yeah,
So
because we
we're
merged.
affiliated with the
But Burlingame, yes.
SPCA, but we here in our jurisdiction have our local agencies like San Jose Animal Services, Silicon Valley Animal Control Authority. They have their own fair programs, their own domestic programs, so we refer all those situations to our local agencies. Yeah.
Do you have volunteers that come to the center?
Yep. So Yep, over 250. You just need to be 16 years and older, and our shifts are 9 to 12, 12 to 3, and 3 to 6.
Now, when you take in like the baby squirrels, and you said they require food every 3 hours, just like a normal baby, do you have people who you foster that have to?
So we don't foster anymore. We keep them, and they sleep at night. They get their last feeding at like 6, and
So
then
we do, yeah, the youngest ones that are, I know it's hard to, 50 grams, like little tiny pinkies.
Yeah.
Or I call them 5 o'clock shadows when they start to grow hair. They're fed about 5 times a day, whether it's every 2.5 to 3 hours. Currently, we're only open 9 to 6. However, when we move to Saratoga, we are gonna have 24-hour staff just for orphan feeding. So we can get more feedings into those orphan babies that require extra nutritional.
Okay, well, thank you for having us, and thank you for listening to us.
Oh, and one more thing, if you want a tour of the new Wildlife Center in Saratoga, touch base with us, give us a call, or even come in and walk in. We're accepting a wait list for and email signups for a tour. And we would love to hopefully have you there in June. Fingers crossed.
We don't have a date yet for that, but it's going to be one Saturday, and it's going to be a large open house where we hopefully it's going to be a shuttle that shuttles people from a parking lot up to the hospital, and then they get to see it. There won't be any animals there. It's before we move the animals in. So you'll get, but the facility is amazing. I mean, we've done a lot of work for what we have had over here, but it's going to be really great for the animals. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was a lot of information, great information. Thank you so much for coming tonight. That was really, really wonderful. All right, I have a few announcements. Ty, do you want to give an update on our beleaguered bench that finally got found?
About a year ago, we as an organization secured a grant from the city of San Jose, Beautify San Jose, that incorporated putting in a park bench over on the perimeter of the lake in a kind of secluded spot, introspective. It has been a struggle with staffing issues and other priorities, but we have, thanks to an extraordinary effort on the part of the Parks and Recreation Department, they installed the footer about a week ago, and they mounted the park bench itself. So that's good news, but like they say on the advertisement, there's more. The city had originally quoted us over $2,000 in labor costs associated with doing the pour and the installation. And they decided they were going to donate that. They only charged us for materials. So that's an extraordinary contribution of in-kind support from the Parks and Recreation Department. It means we'll probably have to give some money back to the city of San Jose at the end of this month, but the city of San Jose is going to sequester those funds and use them for another Beautify San Jose grant cycle sometime in the future. So it's been a bit of a struggle, but we've been successful, and you'll be able to take advantage of that bench. So with that, any questions? Cool.
He really needs a big hand because it's been months and talking, different people that we're going to work on it. Oh my goodness, I appreciate it. So we have to go out and look at it, try to get out there. So our next board meeting, we have a board meeting next week, and that'll be at our Berryessa district office. General membership meeting will be May 13th. We were supposed to have the library program, but I got a message from the mayor's office who would like to have a budget town hall. So they would like to come that night. May 13th is the night, and our council member will be here as well as the mayor. And there'll be a presentation, and then we'll get to put our 2 cents worth in as to what we think, and that'll be good, I hope, anyway. And then I want to remind you that in May 11th, which is the day before Mother's Day, is the Berryessa Arts Festival, which is what we're calling it nowadays, the Berryessa Arts Festival. And if they always need volunteers, so if you are interested, you can let me know, or who's it? Who? Jai, right. Hugo. Oh, Hugo. Oh, okay, Hugo. Hugo, oh yeah, Hugo. So let Hugo know if you want to volunteer in any way. They always need them. And yes, sir.
You might amplify a little bit on where the money from that Art Festival goes.
Oh, in case you don't know, after 40 years or 50 years, I don't know how long it's been. It started out really as a fundraiser for the marching unit at Piedmont Middle School. And then it eventually evolved into the music program, especially the elementary school music program over the years. And now, the last few years, it's any teacher may apply for a grant. So it's just throughout the district, we have 13 schools, and every teacher can apply for a particular grant to enhance their classroom. Yes, sir.
One more thing, you talked about 2 cents worth of budget conversation.
Yes.
Like the city budget of San Jose is $8 billion a year.
See, that's why we need our 2 cents worth in there somewhere. So, and BCAC would like to have a table, but Sharon and I don't like to just sit alone, and that we've been too out there because everybody else on the board has been volunteering in different parts of the arts festival. So if anyone would like to take a turn sitting at our table just to hand out the brochures for BCAC, even if it's just for an hour or so, because we all like to go around and look at all of the booths and see people that you haven't seen since the year before. So it's really a neat thing to do. But if you'd like to volunteer, you can either see Hugo or you can see me tonight if you have a chance to volunteer. And we have seated to thank for the cookies tonight and the coffee. She always gets here and gets time for the coffee to be set up. So we have time to have coffee and cookies and chit chat, okay, before we put the chairs away and move on. All right, I will adjourn the meeting for the night. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.